Since 2019, Red Bull have had zero luck with their second drivers. Gasly, Albon and Perez have been nowhere near Verstappen, and in 2025 it's Liam Lawson's turn to try and break the Red Bull second driver curse. Comment down below your thoughts on a Red Bull second seat, and do you think it might actually be cursed? We start off in 2018, where Red Bull had a really solid lineup of Verstappen and Ricciardo. Oh, and he was good. However, Ricciardo had enough of Red Bull's reliability issues, and Red Bull had enough of Renault's engines. So Ricciardo left Red Bull for Renault, and Red Bull ditched Renault for Honda, which actually ended up being quite a good decision. However, Ricciardo's departure opened up for second driver curse. For the start of 2019, Pierre Gasly was in that Red Bull seat, but he was that poor that after Hungary he got booted out and Albon came in Belgium. And for the rest of 2019, Albon actually did quite well in the Red Bull seat considering he was just a rookie. But then 2020 happened and he was terrible. So at the end of 2020, Red Bull ditched Albon for Perez, probably saving Perez's F1 career until 2024. Albon got sent back into DTM and came back in 2022 to race for Williams. For the first 2 seasons of Perez's stint at Red Bull, he was actually quite good. He wasn't matching Verstappen on pace, but he was close enough and he was getting a few wins and a few podiums. And people were starting to say the second driver curse might be broken. And then 2023 happened and he wasn't really that close to Verstappen, but it was nowhere near as bad as how 2024 went for Perez. I've talked about this many times in previous videos, but Perez in 2024 was just not good enough, and I completely understand why Red Bull booted him out. Now it's Liam Lawson's turn to try and break the second driver curse. So far, Liam Lawson's journey in F1 has been excellent. In Singapore 2023, only his third race, he knocked Verstappen out of Q2, dragging that AlphaTauri into Q3 and even scoring points in the same race. But how much time are Red Bull going to give Lawson to get to grips with the Red Bull car? We all know how ruthless Red Bull can be. The minute you start underperforming for Red Bull, it's the minute they start to doubt you and your ability. And they also don't really have a best track record of defending their drivers in the media either. And I think the main problem why the Red Bull second driver has been struggling so much since 2019 is how the car's designed. Because that car is so focused around Verstappen and the way Verstappen drives. Verstappen prefers an oversteery car, so therefore Red Bull make their car oversteery. And it's worked for them because they've won multiple championships. But here's the main problem. Most drivers prefer an understeery car. Therefore, they have to adapt their driving style to suit the Red Bull. And that's not an easy thing to do for any driver. And only the best drivers are able to adapt their driving styles straight away. I mean, it's no coincidence how Gasly and Albon started doing well again as soon as they got out of the Red Bull seats. I mean, Gasly literally won a race in Monza in 2020 in an AlphaTauri. That would be like Christian Horner and Toto Wolff getting married. It would never happen. The question is, are Red Bull finally going to design their car around both drivers so that the second driver actually gets a chance? No. Red Bull won't change their approach because it's what's worked for them since 2021. They've still won 2 Constructors' Championships and 4 Drivers' Championships. Some people might even think it should be 3 because of 2021. So why should they change their approach? Yes, that will put more pressure on Lawson, but it's his job to be able to adapt to the car and to adapt to Formula 1. For example, if a football player joins a new team, that new team's not going to change the way they play just for that one player. That player's got to adapt to that new team to suit their style of play and so he can perform to his best. But what I will say is Red Bull need to give Lawson time to adapt to the way the Red Bull is and the way that car behaves so he can perform to his best. What people are going to forget as well going into the season, Lawson is still just a rookie. There are many tracks on the calendar which he will never have drove in his entire career. So naturally it's going to take him a while and it's going to take him some time to get up to speed with Verstappen. It might even take him a full season. But I do think Lawson can do well at Red Bull if Red Bull actually give him time and won't be toxic towards him. I don't really know what to expect from Lawson this season. I think he is an exceptional driver who has also got a lot of potential. He might even be Red Bull's next #1 driver because Verstappen said in the past he's not planning on staying in F1 for that long. So he says anyway, he doesn't really care about breaking records, which I do find interesting because he is setting up his own family now, so there could be some truth behind that. If this turns out to be true, then it gives Lawson time to make sure he's ready when he needs to step up to be that #1 Red Bull driver. If Red Bull just keep going through second drivers time after time, it's never going to work out for them. Okay, Perez lasted for a good few seasons, but we saw that as soon as it goes wrong for a Red Bull driver, that's it, you're out the door. No mercy. So Lawson's got to watch out for how toxic Red Bull can be because they are ruthless. I genuinely think that if Lawson has a really bad start to 2025, he will not be in the car come past the halfway point of the season. Probably Yuki Tsunoda or maybe even Isaac Hadjar will. It genuinely would not surprise me. I'm not saying this is going to happen, but it could potentially happen. That's only going to put Lawson under more pressure. He knows that if he does not perform, then his one chance at racing at the top team in F1 is gone. As I have said in previous videos, people have been screaming for Lawson to get a full-time seat in F1 since 2023. So that's even more pressure for him because people are expecting big things from him. He's going to feel pressure not to let them down. Therefore, he's got pressure from his team to perform and he's going to feel pressure from the fans to perform. And for Lawson, it's a matter of sink or swim. We've seen young drivers come into F1 before and they've comfortably been able to swim, like Leclerc, like Piastri. But we've also seen some drivers come into F1 who are new and had really good junior careers and they sink straight away. Look at Nick de Vries and Logan Sargent. Over the years, we've just seen so many young drivers come and go in F1 because they simply can't handle the pressure. Let me know down in the comments, do you think Lawson can handle the pressure at Red Bull? Me personally, because of his 2 stints in 2023 and 2024, I think he will be able to handle that pressure. During Lawson's last 2 stints in F1, he has been driving knowing he is under pressure to impress. Because if he didn't impress, he was never going to get the full-time Red Bull seat. It's the most pressure any driver could possibly go through. And we've even seen really experienced drivers crack under this pressure. At Ricciardo last season, he got put in that V-carb to try and prove to Red Bull he is still good enough to be a Red Bull driver. And he was under pressure to perform well to beat Tsunoda so Red Bull would put him in the Red Bull car. And he didn't, so Red Bull booted him out. And then Perez, he knew Red Bull were going to start looking at booting him out when he started to underperform. That pressure clearly got to Checo and he started to get even worse and then he gets booted out as well. Thankfully for Lawson in 23 and 24, he was under pressure to perform. He managed to handle it. And now he's got the seat he has always wanted. Even though some people might think Yuki Tsunoda should have got it. But that's for another video. I'm on the fence with that. But if Lawson was able to handle the pressure when he was trying to impress, then he's going to be able to handle all the pressure that's coming his way this season. Overall, I think Lawson will have a good season this year at Red Bull and he might even break the second driver curse. If you want to keep up to date with all the latest F1 news and discussions, subscribe to the channel. As always, thank you so much for watching and getting to this point in the video. If you want to see a potential problem looming over McLaren, click on this video here and I will see you all in the next one.